Alright, welcome to Cat the Minion YouTube channel. My name is Theresa, but you can call me Cat. I'm doing a Gemini clock calendar reading. This is going to be an overview of December and then a preview of 2021. This is for anyone with Gemini, Sun, Moon, Rising, Venus. If you're affected by the full moon in Gemini that we just had on November 30th, then this is for you. If you're affected by the Gemini North Node, this would also be for you. And then the full moon in December is also on the 30th, but by the skin of its teeth, it's in Cancer, and the moon is going to be almost full on the 27th through 29th of December, so it's going to be like an aftershock of the full moon that we just had, and then plopped right into Cancer. Anything else, Gemini, right now? I don't believe so. So we have the twins. I wouldn't be surprised if the Lover's card popped out. Incidentally, I went to get cards for this, and I'm using 3 decks, and here I have 4. Because the twins could not make up their mind which deck they were going to be. So it's a split down the middle, and then finally 2 cards for December. So for the 13th seat. So I have my music deck that I made for myself. If you want one, it's free because I do not own the images, so I'm not going to sell it. But if you want one to play with, email me and I'll send you the PDF. You need 10 pages of cardstock or your favorite other paper or board to print it on, to have one. So it's just for funsies. It's not a sale item. I eventually will have decks for sale, but I need to get a new tablet so I can finish coloring in one of them, because using the mouse is too hard on my hand and it would take me extra time, and I don't want to do that. My hands have enough abuse as it is. And then I have the Gilded Reverie Lenormand Brady. I'm using the Bucket o' Charms. I'm using the Radley Valentine Angel deck. And we're also using the Lover's Oracle, which is interesting because Gemini is also master of the Lover's card. There's some mercurial energy going on. Some of it might not always be related to Gemini. It might be dipping into Virgo, but it's in the same family. So incidentally, Mercury is in Scorpio today on December 1st when I'm doing this. So communications might be a little bit dead in the water still, which is probably why it took me 6 hours to get this reading set up. Because I was trying to get my other videos posted, and then I had like an energy fail and had to take a nap. So then on the 2nd to the 20th, it's in Sagittarius. So from the December 2nd to December 20th, Gemini should really be feeling that connection to the nodes, the north and south nodes. Now I usually see it as this sort of all-encompassing, like pole-to-pole review or shift kind of energy. I think there's some specific stuff that's tied to the nodes that I haven't really meditated on or researched yet. And probably at some point I should, but it hasn't been that immediate. But if you know what you're doing with the nodes and you're affected by it, then that Sagittarius energy should be giving you that south connection. From the 21st to the 31st, Mercury is going to be in Capricorn. So this is going to be interesting. The full moon in Gemini that we just had at the very tail tip of November. Okay, the moon is still in Gemini from the 1st to 2nd of December, so I should get that out of the way. But there's this idea of like moon energy while being in Scorpio. Okay, do we have moon in Scorpio somewhere? Or Cancer maybe. I'm just skimming. I think the closest thing would probably be somewhere in like the Seven of Swords energy. I think that would be the closest to what I'm trying to express is what's going on with the full moon for Gemini energy. Like 6.5 swords. And it's this idea of sort of actually being magnetically drawn towards swords that you're trying to steal. I'm like, ooh, I want it, and then it's like, and you get your hand impaled. Like a danger ball. And I'm not really sure what that means, but if it's resonating in some way, then so be it. But on the 27th and 29th of December, when Mercury's in Capricorn, there's this grounding. It's like we're not out in the deep water anymore. We're the ship's coming to shore a little bit, and it might be a little bit more of like devil energy where you're sort of chained to the boat, but you're like, ooh, a little bit of dry land to get into. Now, the moon itself is ruled by Cancer, which is the opposite of Capricorn. Now, I am a Capricorn sun with a Cancer ascendant. And I can tell you that particular energy can mimic Gemini energy. And it's almost this like, are you mocking me? Are you imitating me? What's going on here? You know, so it's a time I expect at the end of December where Gemini will see their own behaviors mimicked in people around them, and they'll be like, wait a goddamn second, what's going on here? It'll be a time of deep reflection, let's say. Right? You're not struggling, you're not drowning in the water anymore, you're sitting on the shore looking into the water and scrying. Now, what else is going on is that when Uranus goes direct in Taurus on January 14th, the moon and Mercury and Saturn and Jupiter are all going to be in Aquarius. And Mars is going to be in Taurus with Uranus. So there's, again, this moon in Capricorn and Sagittarius and Mercurial energy all jammed together. This sort of like the delivery team in an operating room in the OBGYN section of the hospital. And it's, I don't know, I was gonna say it's like Uranus is gonna give birth to twins, and that's the first time I picked up this energy. But it makes sense with all those planets clustered in there. It's like, how many freaking kids are you having here with this turnaround here, man? Gestational period. So it's there's a lot going on there. And my battery's trying to crap out. I've got 11 minutes left. I had 11 minutes left on this segment. So I should probably change the battery before I get actually into the reading. But we're going to look at the December cards, and then we'll see what's actually going on in 2021 for Gemini. Alright, so we're getting to December here. Gemini. The air up there. This is a movie, I think. Is that the one with Kevin Bacon where he went to Africa to get somebody for his basketball team? Is that what that was? I haven't thought about that in like 20 years. 25 years. Okay, so we start off with the ship inverted. This is not necessarily a bad thing, but there's a long journey either ahead or a long journey to the interior of the self. Number 3, and we have a 10 of Swords inverted. And we're starting out with Gemini energy. The Sun in Gemini, but it's inverted, which is the Moon in Gemini, which is right where we begin here. And a big old dive deep into that water. It's a long way down. So we have the Hangman, Soul Kitchen. I think it's turn me out and I'll wander, baby, stumbling through the midnight groves. So here's Jim. The Doors, Soul Kitchen. I want to sleep all night in your soul kitchen. Alright, so the Hangman is Neptune energy. Alright. We just came out of Neptune retrograde in Pisces. And we're still a little post-shadowy there. It's like I'm starting to come out of my subconscious. And we had to go really deep in to get there. But I have to go up at 10 and then I go to 12. So there's a little hop, skip, and a jump there. This is, I'm not fully awake yet. It might be like sleep paralysis. I also got this a 10 of Swords in conjunction with Hangman energy in one of the other readings. I think it might have been Taurus, but I can't remember. There was this idea of being dead asleep way out in the subconscious. Which I can attest to because my sleep, I mean, some of it's been like NyQuil induced, which makes things veer more towards the nightmarish, but it's been really intense, really detailed, out of body, passed out, 3 sheets to the wind kind of and sleep mode as of late. So we have the 4 of Earth inverted. This has also been popping up over and over again in these readings. Being too frivolous or too cautious with money, good business decisions, giving to those less fortunate. This 4 of Earth card is a little bit different. Now, I've reassigned this card Neptune in Capricorn, and I think that's apropos considering we have the Hangman here. Notice I have 4, and I have 3, 4 times 3, the Hangman. I'm being forced to contend with things that I need to let go of. If I'm not able to do it consciously, then it comes out in the subconscious, and that's where those nightmares come from. It's like trying to get in and the back door of a computer to attack a virus that's in there and, you know, hack the Gibson or whatever. Hack the planet! Sagittarian energy. Or not Sagittarian, why did I say that? Capricornian energy, Jesus Christ. Which is where a lot of planets are hanging out right now. Mercury is where? Oh, Mercury's going to be in Capricorn during the next moon. Okay. Mercury in Sagittarius on the 14th to 15th of December. Interesting. Okay, so this other card here is Only Time Will Tell. I just have this. This is basically the like being unconscious. I'm swimming out here in this sort of dimensional abyss, way down in the depths, and there's tears coming out, but we're trying to heal the heart center, right? So it's a new beginning to the process of opening up things that are like clogging your energy, repressed memories and traumas that need to be released, that are way down, locked in the deepest closet, 30 leagues under the ocean, with cement shoes, and the skeletons are now soggy, right? It's like I don't just have skeletons in my closet, I have like a leather bog man down there. together. Okay. So let's look at what's like an overall idea of what's going on in 2021 here. Okay. I was looking at these coming out. I'm like, not that stupid goddamn cowboy hat again. I have a hard time reading this charm. It always slightly confuses me. But I have the cowboy hat. I have these history and geometry books here. And I had the trowel, and it came out upright, but I guess it bounced over. So it's sort of in a challenge position. Now, these other charms can wait a minute. Indiana Jones. Right, what's... Again, it's what I said, a leather bog man. Right, how do we find those? Archaeology. What's Indiana Jones? Archaeology. And this is one of my Ace of Swords type charms. It's a trowel. A trowel, if I could suddenly talk properly. And it's like I need to dig deeper for the truth. And history and geometry and a little notebook, right? I'm working on the science. I'm working on the history. I'm trying to set things up in a balanced polyhedral fashion. And it's again, it's this whole thing is it's Gemini in 2021, it's like unveiling the mysteries, which makes sense for an air sign that's also linked to an earth sign that is one that is youthful, perhaps the inner child, stuff that happened a long time ago, right? Humanity in its youth, in its more infantile stage, in its hormonal stage, let's say. Humanity in an immature stage. Casting open the veil on it, breaking open the nugget, because there's two halves to the story and one half has not been told yet. Okay. So I have a telephone, which is antiquated. I do have a cell phone in charm, but this is the rotary phone here. And I have the back of the credit card, right? So we're looking at, again, we're communicating about details of the past. And I have these charms inverted here. So I have the person in the crosswalk. I have the speakers. I know it looks like a washer and dryer, but it's like 16-inch woofer speakers. And then I have the sugar here. So what does that mean? These came in inverted. Let me think about this for a minute, because this is not readily apparent. I hear a rumble of thunder in the distance. I need to go check it out. Okay, you know what I'm seeing with this? When they opened King Tut's tomb and they went through all his shit, and it might not have been his tomb specifically, but they would have... What is my computer going on about? I wasn't talking to you. They had like jars of honey and grain and, I don't know, like dried onions or whatever. And I see the sugar bowl, and it's like, and it makes me think of these jars of honey, right? 3,000-year-old honey, and it's still edible because it doesn't rot. All you gotta do is, you just gotta heat it up to melt it out of the crystallized phase. So you can pour it out of the jar. Just as good. Okay, so I'm getting Buffalo Springfield. It's like, is it look now or stop now? Hey now, what's that sound? Everybody look what's going down. Stop. Stop in your tracks. What's that sound? What is that? What is that rumbling that's coming? And again, it's like information about the past, but this is in reverse. It's like we're missing just sort of everyday, generic, like daily information about what's going on, what went on in people's lives in the past. Like history has painted them a certain way, and they're like, oh, they're primitive and da da da, and we're the best, and we know more than everyone else. But it's like, when you look at the subtle details of people's lives, what did they eat? What did they think? What did they talk about? What kind of music did they listen to? There's a lot more there than this sort of glossed over, like, me strong, me make pyramid, me kill food and eat it. It's again, it's saying like we haven't been going towards this more intimate understanding of our past, and it's time to bring it up. So, and, there's also, I mean, there's already been a trickle of interesting archaeological, yeah, that's right, and space explorative things happening in 2020. It's just overshadowed by the giant dumpster fire that the rest of it is. Okay, so let's look at January. Archaeological. I don't know why that was suddenly so hard to say. Alright, so this is the park. This is a public meeting place. It's empty because of COVID. And notice we start off with 20, right? We're ending the old year, and we have 8 of Swords here. I want to break free from 2020. 8 of Swords energy is, of course, Jupiter in Gemini. It's that nodal energy. It's, oh, okay, that's what the node is. It's an all-encompassing, covering the whole globe, the whole world. We're trying to end a certain cycle. Silliness that I didn't pick that up right away. And then we have 9 of Swords inverted. So not only do we want to break free, we want to turn this nightmare around. So now we have Mars in Gemini. And this is that Mars energy aspecting in Taurus when Uranus goes direct in Taurus, right? And then Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, sitting in Aquarius, which is ruled by Uranus. So they're all connected with Saturn and Jupiter and the moon. Not surprised to see this, because this is like a half moon card. But when you turn it upside down, it mimics, right? Remember how I said the Cancer and Capricorn energy bouncing off each other mimics Gemini energy. This mimics the 9 of Cups. I'm starting to understand what emotional contentment feels like when I end this fucking nightmare. Okay? This is coming in inverted, not only because we're ending the nightmare, because it's when Uranus goes direct, Mars is watching it and having an acid flashback to being retrograde in Aries, and they're like, oh, my feels. I'm still a little bit sore from that whole overhaul. So we go 8, 9. 20 is also a number of karma. So, right, we're ending this karmic cycle and getting out of the nightmare. 8 and 9, 17, right? Trying to heal from 2020. I now have the Page of Earth. So we have an 11 here. Universal timing. again, there's like a leapfrog here because I had a 10 and then a 12, and now I have a 9 that goes to 11, but it's also 911. It's an emergency. Let's get this going. And then I also have 8 upright, 11 upright, 19 the sun, breaking down to 10 a completion as well. So it's illuminating the need to end the cycle. Page of Earth, I have assigned the energy of Pluto. So there's this idea of scorpionic energy. And I'm seeing it more in a sexual way here. And it might just be because people haven't been touching each other because of COVID, but it's the sacral chakra. I'm creating. I'm allowing myself to flow creatively, to send energy up into my solar chakra to power my confidence so that I can make what I want to make. You know, it's, the Addams Family rap song there. MC Hammer. Do what they want to do, say what they want to say, live how they want to live, play how they want to play. Kicking they stop a friend. The Addams Family. Okay, so this says on it, scholarly, dependable, patient, and successful. Good news about financial matters, wanting to do something more challenging, a new area of study. Right, so not only we have all that archaeological stuff going on, all right, learning, we had started off with some books. All right, I am digging around in a Wikipedia page for 5 hours, and I am really sure that this is what I want to do. All right, so we're in Pentacles, we're manifesting. Pretty good start for Gemini. I feel like Gemini and Taurus know what their work is that they gotta do. It's just a matter of getting it. So some really challenging stuff going on for, you know, all the clusterfuck planets, right? Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius. A lot of heavy shit going on. Pisces, I can't even remember. Aries, I don't remember that much either. It's just that they're like, they're sort of trying to balance the energy. And then Taurus and Gemini, I got my instructions, I'm ready to go. And then it's this energy, it's like, okay, I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure out how to actually do it for myself now that I know what I'm doing. And then towards the end, it's like, tell all the people, like another Door song. Tell all the people that you see, it's just me. So February, the clover. Crimson and clover, over and over. Tommy James and the Shondells. So you have the Six of Pentacles. Six of Pentacles is I got my shit planted in the right garden. And I don't need to talk about the other aspects of it right now because that is, I mean, it's I gotta find it in here. I hope it's still in the deck. Please still be in here. It's hard to find stuff in my little music deck because the cards are pretty worn after being used for a year and a half. And they tend to stick together because they're just kind of a printer cardstock. They're not intended to be shuffled and moved around repeatedly. Is it in the reading? Oh, here it is. Okay. So, I mean, okay, it was still in the deck. So the Six of Pentacles in my music deck is The Right Garden by Jane Oliver. All right, this is the right soil for this to grow, and I'm planting it at the right time of the year. I read the Farmer's Almanac. I I looked at the seeds and the time of year. I licked my finger and stuck it out in the wind, and I said, "Ah, yes, this is the right place for this. There's a natural aquifer. It's got plenty of water. I don't have to weed it that much because of the little critters around here. It's great. I don't need to spend money on grass because the clover will cover the ground. It doesn't grow that high. It's beautiful. It's perfect. It's all you could ever ask for. It's the right garden." Okay, so the clover is basically about luck and sort of things going right. It's sort of like a cheery outlook. You know, it's fresh, it's good. I've got a green thumb here. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to do this card first. This came out inverted, which means the picture side fell out. This is what I was talking about from the December pile. You're deep in the water, your lungs are filling up, you're like fighting against the waves, and you get dragged onto the shore by those chains. And now you're on the shore, you're still waterlogged, you're soggy, but you're looking into the water. And this is the person down deep in the water. It's like a little movie thing going on there. It's like a double, like a diptych. Two pictures together make one picture. Right? And there's this idea of like looking down into the depths of your past, but sort of humanity past. And what do we have but the twins? Right? Me and my shadow, me and my inner self, me and my higher self, me and my leathery bog man. Emotions are a natural and necessary part of life, but they can also distort your perception and cloud your vision. In order to see things clearly, you must let go of resentment, right? Part of the shadow, part of the skeletons in the closet is going to be resentment. If you can't heal from something, every time you remember it, you're going to relive the trauma as if you had the Oculus Rift stuck to your face, and then you're going to be pissed off, and that's where comes the resentment, right? Anger is like a fear and depression that has realized that something is wrong but isn't quite sure what to do about it yet. Okay? And I know this because I've experienced it. After my nervous breakdown, I would be down here in the water. I would be drowning. And it's this idea of like envisioning yourself. You fall in the water, you go past the leathery bog man, you hit a pocket of water, it drags you down the Gulf Stream backwards and drops you into the Marianas Trench. You're like 6,000 meters or whatever the fuck it is below sea level, and you just kind of hit the bottom of the trench and you're just kind of sitting there on the floor of the Marianas Trench. And then it's just this scene where it's like everything's black and you're just sitting there like on a shelf. And you're like, what the fuck? And there's this sense of helplessness. Of like, I don't want to be here. I don't know what to do. And it's like this frustration of being unable to do anything. I'm sitting here, I'm miserable. I don't want this feeling. I have no power, right? I have no willpower, and everything in my body is telling me to self-destruct, but I refuse that, and the sort of self-destruct shadow comes up and be like, hey, you should kill yourself. And if you have that sort of anger spark in you, even if it's latent and you didn't know it, at some point this sort of devil's advocate energy is gonna keep poking at you and being like, you should kill yourself. What's the point? What are you doing? Poke, poke. And if you have enough rage coming up, you can be like, no, I want to be alive. And then you sort of start sending you back up. But the only thing that really does that is the rage. And they don't really describe that intensely in society or in movies or in books or in film, because people don't want to talk about it. The minute you mention the word suicide, they leave the building. They're like, they check out. They're like, I don't want to hear that. Don't you dare. How you're not going to do that without any interest or in the psychology or the visualization behind it. So in movies, they'll have like a hero who's, had the hero of the movie has had the shit kicked out of him, and he's gonna give up, and the villain's gonna win. But all of a sudden, the villain has kidnapped their wife or their girlfriend or their love interest or some little kid, or is about to kill an animal. They're gonna release a virus on like 1 million people or something, and that rage instinct to protect at all cost kicks in, and they go and overcome the villain, and they save the day and all that. But that trope is actually what happens when the survival instinct kicks in for yourself, when you hit that bottom. And most people aren't willing to dig that deep. They see the bottom coming and they're like, no, give me the Prozac. Just put some, pave over the dead bodies and we'll forget about them. And then we'll just tell everybody that there weren't any people living here until 3,000 years ago. And then it'll work for a while. But what about the people that were there 40,000 years ago and 100,000 years ago and 324,000 years ago? Eventually you will have to deal with those skeletons. So resentment. The resentment is where the ego can keep you alive. They're like, how dare you? I will survive and win. And the anger is what brings you up out of the depression back onto the ground. Right? The ground level, the stability, the stable place. What happened in these depressive cycles is that you get to stable and you're like, oh, thank God. And then you want to be able to to feel good. The problem is when you get to feeling good, it can be really hard to maintain when you have all these skeletons down there being like, hey, let me out, dig me up. And then all of a sudden, something good happens and then there's an immediate drop. So it feels safer to be lying on the ground than to have anything good happen. Because if something good happens, you just have farther to fall afterwards, and it can create this cycle. And this is what's being overcome here. We're starting to all those emotional dead bodies can provide good fertilization for growth, right? It's very deep grounding, deep groundwater. There's a lot of nutrients in the soil. But it's having an awareness of it to be able to move through it. The Eight of Swords to break free. And then we have Judgment. So I have Johnny Lang here, Wisdom. And the song talks about, I don't know why I can't think of any of the lyrics right now. I love this song so hard I will crank it and listen to it for like an hour. He looks really young here, but he's actually like a year older than me. And this was only a few years ago. The song is about how when you go through life and you basically, get run over by life, that's where the wisdom comes from. Sort of young, fresh out of the bag person doesn't have this wisdom sort of ground into them. In essence, you can read about stuff all you want and then you'll have knowledge, but you don't gain the wisdom without the field work, without the practical experience, without the apprenticeship. without the on-the-job training, basically. And we started out in January with the number 20 here on the park. And now we're getting it again. Scorpionic energy, fire energy. And it's depth and abysmal and deep underground energy, but it's that fire energy. It's that internal, like, oh no, I'm going to succeed. I'm going to, like, be lying on the ground screaming, and my feet are still going to walk forward while the rest of me is flailing around and crying. And that is sort of the beginning of the resolution of karma, where the deepest, darkest wisdom comes, right? Because it's this idea of, like, you can't have full wisdom if you're only ever in the light. And that's that, paving over the previous civilization and pretending it doesn't exist. You're ignoring the darkness. It's like love and light. And then, turning around and having a panic attack because you have some kind of dark, terrible situation going on in your life that you can't seem to deal with because you have to know how to wrangle the shadow, basically. And the only way to do that is to, like, have been in it. I'm getting real lectury in this. I think this is what happened when I went to do, I think, the Capricorn reading. I had other stuff going on, and it took me like 5 days to get up to it, and then I cranked out like 5 readings in a row, and then it took me like 7 hours to get up to this, and I see why, because there has to be a build for this level of depth, basically. And it's like, I want to get these readings out because I'm behind, but there's certain things that you cannot rush with the energy. And like, I don't know, it requires that certain amount of time. It's like how our cat Maestro was born. He just turned 12. Jaji was old when she had him. I think she was 12 when she had him. And, she had a lot of litters of kittens already. And it was getting the Stargate was getting a little bit dried up there. You know what I'm saying? And, but he was a single kitten. There were no other kittens in the litter. And he's enormous. He's gigantic. He's not like a bred, but he's basically a Maine Coon cat. I sling him over my shoulder and he hangs halfway down my back. This is the same kind of energy of the reading. It's really big. It requires that much space to bring it forth. All right. So February. So January karma, February karma. A nice little après dinner karma. March. Let's start with that one. I'm going to start with this one. Unity, Archangel Sandalphon. Okay, so here's the Hierophant, basically. Traditional viewpoints or methods, spiritual organizations, seek out mentors and like-minded friends. Now, what's interesting is it says traditional viewpoints or methods. What needs to happen here really is, like, essentially we're creating a new paradigm of viewpoints and methods. But it says traditional, but it doesn't mean like what we've been living with. It means going deep back into the past and finding the most ancient traditions, which are usually more linked to spirituality than sort of cult religions. Right? We're not worshiping a deity or a series of deities. We're having a deep connection to the natural world around us. So I'm being called to read Archangel Sandalphon out of the book. So let me get the book. Alright, so here's the book. Dictionary of Angels, including the Fallen Ones by Gustav Davidson. I've had this book for like 20 years. And it is a well worth whatever purchase price you can get from your local single person run used bookstore, which hopefully is still in business. After this year. Alright, Archangel Sandalphon. Where you at? Just trying to, oh, hang on, I might buy it. Not Samael, I need Sandalphon. Okay. His name means co-brother. Does that not sound like a twin? Oh, wow. In rabbinic lore, Sandalphon is one of the great Sarim, aka angelic princes, a twin brother of Metatron, master of heavenly song. And notice that we have the speakers there. Which is interesting because Metatron is supposed to be the voice of God. Sandalphon is designated the left-hand feminine cherub of the Ark. Now, the Ark of the Covenant is like a communication device into other dimensions, basically. So we have this aspect of mercurial energy of communication. In the liturgy for the Feast of Tabernacles, or Tabernacle? Why do I always read that word wrong? It's tabernacle. Okay. In the liturgy for the Feast of Tabernacles, he is credited with gathering the prayers of the faithful, making a garland of such prayers, and then adjuring them to ascend as an orb to the Supreme King of Kings. So he's making a mixtape, and he's sending it out as a ball of energy. That's pretty interesting. Okay, so as is reported of Michael, he carries on ceaseless combat with the apparently indestructible Samael, aka Satan, Prince of Evil. Right, so it's talking about the devil's advocate that whispers in your ear, hey, you should kill yourself. The energy that rises up and is like, hell, like, no, I don't want to, is sort of there's like the energy of Sandalphon here. Now, it says the left hand. A lot of people think the left hand is evil, but usually when you have twins, one of them is right-handed and one of them is left-handed because they're mirror twins. So he's the left-handed twin. He is said also by Kabbalists to be instrumental in bringing about the differentiation of sex in the embryo, a good thing to bring to the attention of expectant mothers. Alright, so that's Sandalphon there. Now, properly the twins, one is masculine and one is feminine, but because of the journey of the patriarchy, one of the twins was replaced with another masculine. And that's when you see the rise of stories like Castor and Pollux. It used to be masculine and feminine twins where you would see something more like Osiris and Isis, or like Hansel and Gretel. Who else? There's probably like a lot of anime or other stories that have a male and a female twin. There's some in Robert Heinlein's books too where there's a male and a female twin. All right, so Sandalphon. 5 is also a pivot. So we have 7 of Wands, Beautiful by Christina Aguilera. The energy of the 7 of Wands I've reassigned as Pluto in Leo. Which makes sense because I had already been talking about that Hades-like energy, that scorpionic energy. And as I'm recording this, Mercury is in Scorpio. So we're going to stay with that. In Leo. What is that? Oh, this is Taurus. Taurus energy. Ruled by Venus. And Venus is also in Scorpio on the 1st of December. Okay, so what's going on? The Empress and the male archetype. But it's not the moon, it's Venus. So specifically the mother energy, which makes sense because they talked about expectant mothers. I see 12 here, which makes me think of the Hanged Man again. Let me see what the 3rd card is. Oh, speaking of expectant mothers, we have the Child. A Jack of Swords. So this could be a page or a knight, but here I'm pretty sure it's a page. So we have 11, we have 13 here. And then again, 13 related to death, which is scorpionic energy. Okay, so the Page of Swords I've assigned Uranus energy, which makes sense because we have Uranus retrograding in Taurus, which is going to go direct in January. And I talked about those planets clustered around as if they're in a delivery room and surprise, you're having twins. One is male, one is female. But this child here is looking at all these stories and fairy tales, right? A lot of stuff that comes down as mythology was actually coded science of ancient cultures. And it's sort of like looking at the stories all skeptical, like, you know, I don't believe in fairy tales. But what they don't believe in is that it's not real. There's certain aspects that are plausible. We just don't understand it. It's this thing where any science that's of a certain level advanced over what we have now is going to appear as if it was magic. I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember the exact quote, right? And what is magic? It's fairy stories. Science is basically science that we don't understand. But it's sort of like the truth is in its infancy. It's only a fool would believe in fairy tales, but you have to sort of take this leap to understand that there's something going on. There's some kind of truth embedded in that. So what is going on with this? Seven of Wands is usually I'm standing up for myself or I'm in defense mode. The best defense is a good offense. Again, it's that I'm rising up. But I see the 13 and I see the 7 and I see 20. I see 11, I see 5, I see the Tower. And it's almost like the metaphor of the twin children that are coming in 2021. Oh, and Tower is Aries energy, Mars energy. How much time have I got? Okay. it's like a Trojan horse. Children are coming in that are like pre-wired to jack into ancient cultural information that's going to tear down the tower of what people know right now. And this sort of mixtape that Sandalphon has put together, look, he's got all these orbs, right? These are all these religions and mythology. Like, just kidding, these are testimonials. Some of this is actual information that you need. Don't just, wave it away into the nursery. And it's like you're so on guard to this concept that man is at its pinnacle right now, that it's like attacking basically the academic establishment attacks any new ideas, but the children coming in are going to be like, I don't give a shit about your tenure and how many peer reviews you have. Look at the information. Look at the experiential testimonials of the people that lived during that time. All right, so let's look at April. I'm really popping off on this thing. I don't think I need that one yet. I'm going to start with this one. A message for you. I'm thinking of you this very moment. Your love fills me with light. I love you. Ooh, I like this. There's a moon energy and feminine energy. Notice how I said I had the sun and Venus, but I didn't have the moon to go with the sun as the masculine and feminine. This is like the feminine moon energy sort of setting and the sun coming in and just sort of illuminating her as she sets. Right, the meeting of the day and the night. It could also be an eclipse energy as well. I'm going to put a pin in that. Eight of Pentacles inverted, teacher. This goes back into that message of academia. This is doing the work. This is I'm not doing the work. But ironically, the song Teacher by Jethro Tull, it's this guy that goes to learn basically like in an apprenticeship, and the teacher that's supposed to be teaching him is just kind of fucking around and he's not really learning anything, and he just sort of has to like try to teach himself. That happened to me when I had painting in college. And it's sort of an art degree tends to be really subjective because it's not always based on skill. It's based on sometimes it's based on how much of the professor's ass you kiss, and I don't believe in that. Because even if you end up in debt for the rest of your life, they can be as snobby as you want, and you're still paying their salary. And when you go into the class, the thing is to improve your skills, and then to graduate having honed and learned your skills and improving what you started with. And in an art class, drawing, painting, you're instructed to draw the setup, whether it's a model or a pile of stuff or half the room set up as an interior with or without a model or plural models. And you're supposed to paint it or draw it or whatever. And while you're doing that, the professor comes around the room and looks at people's stuff and gives them pointers and tells them what to do. And I called out my painting in professor because he wasn't coming over and giving me any critique. And he was all like, don't tell me how to do my job. Exactly this teacher not teaching energy. And that's basically the way that academia works. It's like, hey, what about this over here? They're like, oh, that's a bunch of mythology. This is what was in the book that I wrote when I did my PhD when I was 35. And I don't care if I'm 70. There's nothing more to learn, and this is what we said. The bored rich people from 140 years ago said this is what it was, and this is what it is. So now I have the anchor, 35. Inverted. And I have the 9 of Swords inverted. This is the second 9 of Swords inverted. So we're going back to this energy over here. I'm overturning the nightmare. And this is somebody's finally actually going to teach me something so that I don't have to work so hard to dig up the information, right? We're not dropping anchor on this pile of crap. We want the true tea. Now, 9 of Swords inverted is like saying 9 of Cups. Notice I have 9 and 8, 17. This, whatever's been going on, has not been in alignment and has provided no basis for healing for humanity, which is why there's so many skeletons in that closet. Right? So I'm thinking of you this very moment. Your love fills me with white light. I love you. It's like I'm so enamored of these distant ancestors that were actually doing something interested, and I'm filled with resonance at information that actually makes sense and isn't just forced down my throat, right? People wouldn't have to study to pass a test if the information was resonant. They would just vibe with it and be like, oh, and then you'd have your essay. Everybody would get an A in their history class and nobody would think it was hard. They try to confuse you by memorizing dates instead of a sequence of events that plays out in any kind of logical manner. I'm not biased or anything. Slash totally bitter. This is why I haven't gotten any higher level degrees. I got my BA, and then I was in debt, not as much as other people, and then, by the time I would have considered getting a master's, even though my dreams keep telling me otherwise, I was fully disgusted with academia, and I'm like, I'm not putting more debt on my debt sandwich for that shit. Hell no. I do not want to supersize my debt fries. I need water. I probably should have gotten water before I turned on the camera, but this guy wanted to come over and join the, he wanted to come over and join the reading. So his head doesn't turn because his shoulder pads are too big. There. A little bit of Giger derivative. I just had a song stuck in my head, but I don't know if it has any lyrics. It's like I don't know what that is. Anywho. So I have the woman. Ace of Swords. Number 29. I had an English teacher in 7th grade who was like, I don't know, she's like 50 or something. And every year for her birthday, she would say she was 29. That's what's so stupid about lying about your age, is that you're like, I'm 29. It's like, yeah, well, you look like shit for 29. But if you tell people your real age, you're like, I'm 52. They're like, yeah, you're doing pretty good. But that's the same thing, too. It's like lying about the past to suit your needs, lying about history and all that other stuff. She's got a book. And she's got a rose. She's in her emotions about what she's studying. And she's also truth-seeking. And she's sort of thinking about it, contemplating it. So here we have the Empress in her library. Just kidding. She's in the library. This is Belle. She's in the Beast's house, and she's ravaging his Akashic records because she's voracious for knowledge. So we have 29 breaking down to 11. Now what's interesting is that I said she's voracious for knowledge. If you get Graham Bass's book, The 11th Hour, there's in the beginning of it, it's like, goodness gracious, how audacious. Somebody was most voracious. I don't have that book, but I bought it for one of my cousin's little kids. She had twins. They're still, I mean, they're not gone. They're still there, but she died of breast cancer. But her twins are Geminis. And I got one of them, The 11th Hour. And I got the other one, Animalia, because that book kicks fucking ass. It's so good. So anyway, the Empress is reading. She's hanging out. She's chilling in her own vibes. She's in her study. Six of Wands, Uprising. So this is by Muse. It's on the Resistance album. Let me see if I think I have a real copy of that. I do have a real copy of it. I'm going to get the thing out so it's not shiny from the... Okay. Like showing... Alright, so here's the cover of the album. Evil, that crazy stuff. Is that in focus? I feel like it's not quite. Or maybe the guy is a little fuzzy on it. Maybe that's what the problem is. There. Okay, so now I have to put this back in focus over here. Okay. Very geometric, very much like one of Sandalphon's orbs, expanded to have all the information in it. Being beamed up. There's a little tiny earth in the middle. So one of the songs is Exogenesis. Interesting. So I guess it's the other one that has exopolitics on it. Unnatural selection. Okay. Well, anyway. Alright, so this is the album that Uprising is on. Six of Wands. Jupiter in Leo. So again, that sun energy. And now it's again with Venus. The sun coming in to interact with Venus. Just like over here with Sandalphon and the child. It's our decision to change what's going on, our uprising, our shaking up of the paradigm. Like, we're going to win, and we're not going to back down to this information. I feel like this is the moon here. And this is the sun, kind of washed out. Sun bleached. But here are the yin yang, right? The sun and the moon, the masculine, the feminine, the light and the dark. And the sun is sort of interested in what's going on with Venus. And the moon is more like the three goddesses together, right? The Venus, the Empress, the Mother, the Virgo, the Maiden, which is Gemini's Mercury partner, and and then the High Priestess, the crone. The moon is like all three of them put together. And as the moon goes through its phases, it phases through each one of them, right? When it's full, it's the Empress. When it's a new moon, it becomes the Maiden. And when it's waning, it's the High Priestess. So the sun, it's like having a hard time connecting to more of to anything but the full moon. It's like I can't see you unless you're full. There is like I'm not getting a reflection back when I shine my light on you. Like where are you hiding? So it says balance. Love is not always about agreeing just for the sake of it. A great relationship is one that both supports and challenges. So I feel like what's happening here is this concept again that there's no challenge to academia if they just sort of poo-poo anything that goes outside of the textbooks that they written that they're getting paid for. Right? It's like, oh, well, I'm not going to accept this challenge to the ideas because it means my last 30 years of research don't mean anything anymore, and I refuse to be challenged in that way. But to have an open discourse, it's like, if you look at this new information and you let it reflect back to you what it's into, you're like, I don't see your light because it's not the color that I want to see. You know, maybe dicking around for 30 years on a theory that's proven to be not very viable gives you the basis to come up with a next great leap in information, but you refuse to do it because, you know, it hurts my feelings if my research isn't worth it. Okay, so let's get to June. The Tower inverted. So 6 of Swords inverted. This isn't the same tower as in the regular tarot. This is bureaucracy with 19, which is normally the number of the sun. So I have it inverted here. I'm just talking about the sun and the moon. So this reflected light coming back from the moon is overturning the bureaucracy, again, of academia. This doesn't have to be necessarily just talking about archaeology. It could be in psychology. It could be in mechanics. It could be in biology. It could be in any kind of established thing. It could be theory of government, even. Right? It could be birth care, midwifery, any of those kinds of things. You know, it's like, we found a new way to wash dishes. This is amazing. Well, I reject your reality and substitute the one where we have $1 billion industry of dishwashers and soap. Any of those kinds of things, overturning that bureaucracy. 6 of Swords inverted is Mercury and Aquarius. So inverted, it gives me a scorpionic energy, right? Instead of sailing away, we're going to take that boat on a deep dive. We're going in the submarine. We're going down to scope out the bottom of the trench. We're opening up the communication. We're going to overturn the collective consciousness. Speaking of scorpionic energy, the Death card. So here's Apocalyptica in the Hall of the Mountain King. Alright. What is a tower? And a mountain. Now, a pyramid is also a mountain. And And a lot of the time there's supposed to be records or at least some kind of encoded information in the geometries of the pyramid. And that way it becomes the hall of records, the library of the beast, of the Mountain King. But there's this idea of we're going down into the earth, into the depths, into the past to get it, especially with this carved skull. Right? The skeleton's in the closet. We've got to... what is the opposite of inter? Dig up, I guess. Extract. Dredge. So I have the 6 of earth, and it's coming in inverted. It came out upright over here. It says gifts of money, time, or effort, new career opportunities, receiving a loan, or paying off debts. What did I say about not getting more debt? Right? You don't have to pay them off if you don't incur them in the first place. Right? I have a debt to academia because I have tenure. This is manifestation is out of balance. You've been planting something in the wrong soil. And it's talking, wait, so the 6 here for the bureaucracy, and the bureaucracy here. We're going to break new ground and take down your mountain of shit, basically. 6 minutes left. Okay, move this guy over here. All right, so let's look at July. Now we have the Hierophant. It's coming in inverted, and I feel like it's not supposed to be. This is the Sage by Emerson, Lake and Palmer. Now, this is coming from pictures at an exhibition. So a gallery of art is not unlike a library. And I'm not quite sure why it's inverted yet, so let me get these other cards. I think that's Greg Lake, but I don't remember which one is which. So we have the Sun card upright, Ace of Pentacles now, and the Sun is, the little sundial is on the number 6, which is supposed to be a number of the Sun. I have a 6 number inverted here, which tells me moon energy, right? You're not, this goes back to that thing of not getting reflected back what they want to hear. But we have the key to manifestation here. I have the Empress number, I have the Magician number, it breaks down to 4, which is the number of the Emperor. The Sun is usually 19, which was over here, which breaks down to 10, which is a completion of a cycle. Right, and the Sun marks the calendar year as well. I see 31, it makes me think of December 31st, but here it makes me think of the month of June, which we just finished. Right, we're in July. There is no 31st of June, so technically the 31st of June is the 1st of July. So we're looking at something that starts in July. But not on the 5th. This, to me, I mean, it could be vague, but this to me looks like a masculine energy who's starting to... It looks like the light is coming out of his eyes, like he's like the sun, but part of his other eye is in darkness, and he's gaining this universal wisdom. He's got this pentacle here, right? The Ace of Pentacles. He looks a little bit sad, but I mean, maybe I'm reading into that. Look deep within your heart and you will feel my love. My love for you is as deep as the ocean. Okay, so what does this mean? I need to get a clarifier for this Hierophant card, so I'm going to go to the deck here. Okay, so I have one flip out right away. The Knight of Wands. So this song is Christmas Eve in Sarajevo by Trans-Siberian Orchestra, and it's basically the Carol of the Bells, right? And it's sort of very death-like, like a very death-like sound. And it's a 12, so we go from 13 to 12. But I'm still confused by why that Hierophant is inverted. And why this guy is talking about, oh, my love for you is as deep as the ocean. Right? So that looks very much like this card. Heart center, very deep in the abyss. Oh, okay. So when I said that Sandalphon is like that fire energy that kicks in, or the rage energy, the Aries energy that kicks in and says, no, I don't want to kill myself. That energy is like the Knight of Wands. I'm out here doing battle with fire, like, rrr. I will not be killed on this day. And I feel like this is inverted because it's something that's gone very deep. My uprising is internal. And I'm fighting this battle internally. And what happens when I'm deep inside myself with this energy to have this sort of cosmic download, like, oh my God, I want to be here. This self-love comes in, and we see this in darkness, but now there's some illumination happening for this masculine energy. Alright, so let's look at August. I feel like that's not in focus all the way. Okay. August. So you know the fishes, 34, with the King of Pentacles. So with the Ace over here somewhere. And we had a Knight, and now we're at a King, and we have this abundance coming in. But look where we are. We have sunlight coming down into deeper water. Right, I'm going to catch a real big fish here. Now, there's a ska band called Real Big Fish. And in the movie Basketball, they did a cover of Take On Me by a-ha. And I think that's relevant here. But notice I have 34, which is the Empress and the Emperor. Right, the masculine and the feminine. And I feel like the feminine is representing these ancient cultures because it was before the patriarchy. It's not to say that necessarily it was fully matriarchal, but some of the time it was, and some of the time it was more balanced. And what do we have when we have balance? But we have abundance on different scales and multiple levels. King of Pentacles energy is Aries and Taurus. So again, the Empress and the Emperor. I don't know if this was supposed to be up or down, but we have the Fool here. This is Wake Me Up by Avicii. Rest in peace, Tim. Now, where did I have... Oh, I guess it was in December, the Hanged Man. Right? Dead asleep. Sleep paralysis, I said. And now it's Wake Me Up, the Fool. A new paradigm emerges. And the song is about... well, the video is about people who are outcast finding somewhere that they belong, that they resonate with. Which is basically... is relevant to what's going on here. This looks like floating on the water. Like I'm not... Where's the other one? I'm not like soggy on the shore. I'm being buoyed on the water, right? I'm not being dragged by chains. I'm being floated towards the shore. I have Uranus energy and I have Neptune energy. Those planets are twins. We have the subconscious and the cosmic consciousness blending together. This is also like an kind of like an egg with somebody in it. It looks like a feminine, but it doesn't have to be. It's a young person. It's an androgynous youth who has long hair. It's important right now to take a step back and spend some time alone. Instead of placing your focus on another, now's the time to give to yourself. Alright, hold on a second. I'm getting some words coming in. When the cosmic consciousness and the subconscious are in alignment. What was the rest of it? I'm losing it. Oh, I lost what it was. When the cosmic consciousness and the subconscious are in alignment, there is a precision of mind. I feel like this is one of Sandalphon's orbs back here. And this is what's in the orb. A recording of pre-patriarchal, deeply withheld information, or deeply ignored information, right? Live people ignore the strange and unusual. I myself am strange and unusual. And then don't worry about what other people are doing or not doing. It's like, what is resonating for you, right? What lights you up? What do you resonate? This reminds me of a reading that I did for this set where I had the Ace of Pentacles inverted. And it was the regular tarot, so it's the hand coming out of the cloud. It's something round. No, here we go. The hand coming out of the cloud holding the pentacle, but it was inverted. So it looked like it was dunking a basketball like this. And that's what Tim's hand looks like in this picture. It looks like he's dunking this orb. So let me try to zoom that in a little bit. You can see his hand here. It's not touching this orb, but it's giving me that same impression. I should also point out that I think his death was ruled as suicide based on depression, and that's actually relevant to this reading when I was talking about being in the abyss. Right, now is the time to give to yourself while you're still able to. Alright, so let's look at September. Mental health is critically important. And people who peacock and act mentally superior, whether they're trying to lord knowledge over people or not, is an aspect of mental health. Your ego is out of order if you think that because you're in certain societal clubs, academia being one of them, that you're better than other people. Everyone can read a book. We have the well inverted. This is an expanded deck card, so it doesn't have an assigned card. It's like a major arcana. For sure. So I have 41. I have the Emperor and I have the Magician inverted. Breaks down to 5, which is the same as the Hierophant inverted, which is where the Sage was over here. Now what's interesting is the herb Sage is used for cleansing and clearing. It's like we need to clear out the inside of this system. This is, and I talked about dredging too. It's like we send the bucket down deep into that abyss and bring something up. But this idea of an elite that's out of balance and essentially using black magic, blackmail, black magic, more blackmail than anything else, to keep their system in place. The King of Swords inverted. So this is radioactive. I like the Lindsey Sterling and Pentatonics version. Here's Kevin on his cello. And I just heard Britney Spears, don't you know that you're toxic? Right? This is, again, the establishment of false truth. So now, instead of a 41, I have a 14. Those who are in control of what's established as the history, the truth, have been out of balance, and what they've been establishing is toxic. And if you look at where he is, he's in this like busted out post-apocalyptic shelter. This is like what they've done with the ancient history. They're like, oh, just throw some dirt over it and forget about it. Tear down the temple and reuse the bricks. And then we have another King of Air inverted. Like double down on that information. So an upright, it's brilliant, impartial, professional, and diplomatic. Speak your mind with confidence. Seek out professional advice. Balance mental and emotional considerations. Out of order. Notice that it's 10 together, completion, but I have three things that are 1 and 4 breaking down to 5 equals 15, the devil. And you can see that it's been sort of this overarching grinding system that has chained things to this bureaucracy. And having it all inverted is saying we're going to overturn it piece by piece, right? Because it's in 3 pieces. I mean, seeking out professional advice. It's like something that has been unable to do, because you seek out a professional and be like, oh, well, that's a bunch of bullshit. Never, like, don't you fill your head with that nonsense. Right? You're not allowed to bring in additional communication. There's no diplomacy. There's no impartiality. It's, we've decided the results of this experiment before the hypothesis is even finished. Right? And there's an emotional aspect to there, because you can't be impartial if your ego is going to be injured, right? The delicacy of your nature is affronted by this grievous error in logical thinking. So we have October. Oh, this is down in the root, but there's the masculine and the feminine energy together, right? The twins. Deep in the root of history, humans came in as a duality, and in order to have expanded learning, both the linear thought processes and the flowing, creative, intuitive thought processes need to work together. When it comes to matters of the heart, there is no right or wrong. Every choice you make expands your understanding of life and love, right? But in this sort of bureaucracy, whatever threatens those in power in the bureaucracy is wrong. I hate your idea. Four of Swords, Sleepwalk by Santo and Johnny. I just heard Meatloaf. Let me sleep on it. And he's trying to have sex with this woman, and she's like, she's gonna put out if he says that he loves her forever. That's really funny. That is like the best karaoke song to do drunk in groups. Absolutely smashing. Okay, so Four of Swords. So I've reassigned this as Neptune in Libra, which makes sense because we're dealing with these sort of subconscious issues and then trying to balance them out. And what is Libra but the other aspect that's ruled by Venus, the Empress? And then the 4 is, it goes back to that Emperor number, the 4 and the 1, but it's also 13 combined from death. This is resting after being on the battlefield. I'm going to regroup. I'm going to meditate and consider new options for attack or diplomacy, depending. Then you have 24, which is, I believe it's the heart. But we have the Jack of Cups here. The High Priestess, the Empress, breaking down to 6, which is the twins, which is Gemini. And we see them here. Now, part of that Let Me Sleep on It song there, it's like I swear on everything that I'm going to love you till the end of time. And swans mate for life. Right? And it's this idea that the feminine and masculine aspects in the world, in the reality of the world, cannot be separated, because in order to have expansion and alignment, both things are needed, right? You can't see the depth of a situation if you're only looking at it from your masculine eye. You need the other eye, the feminine eye, to triangulate, right? That's when you get the third eye opening, right? Binocular vision. So the Jack of Cups can be a page or a knight, but in this case it's going to be a page, and I've assigned it Pluto energy, which makes sense because we've been in that sort of deathy scorpionic energy, and I mentioned this 4 as being condensed, right? So we have this basically this 4 coming back in with this High Priestess intuitive, which for me is, I see her as Piscean energy. It's resolving and transforming the subconscious in order to expand and have more accurate navigational system. All right, so let's get into November. So we have the letter inverted. 7 of Swords inverted, which is good because that means the fuckery is ending. I don't need your admissions letter. 27 breaking down to a 9, which would be the Hermit or the 9 of Swords inverted again. But as the Hermit, it's going to be Virgo energy, right? The collective consciousness is maturing. We're coming out of the dark and starting to illuminate it. Now I got the letter inverted in another reading, but it wasn't, I didn't use the Lenormand deck. It came out of the charm box. So let me get that. See if I can find it. I've got 195 charms in this bucket, and it's not always easy to locate them, but the pyramid was looking at me. That's information, and the mountain. And essentially, and kind of the tower as well. And I have the scroll to go with it. That's more information. Give me a second while I look for this letter in here. How much time have I got? Oh, I restarted. I got plenty of time. Although the battery's down a notch, which means that for some reason, whenever my battery goes down from 3/3 to 2/3, it drains very quickly because apparently I suck the life out of it when doing these. Come on, letters, where are you at? Well, it's actually, well, this actually means that I've shuffled these up pretty well, because if I could find it in a hurry, it would mean that they weren't mixed up very much. Some of these are getting kind of bent. They're not real sturdy. But I scanned them, so when these ones get busted up, I'll just print out some new ones. I need to make, I need to set up a PDF of these so that people can get them. I should, I suppose I could print some out and mail them, but they might get messed up. Here it is. Okay. So this is my letters charm that I made kind of in parroting this card a little bit. Kind of similar. She wrote me a letter, just a minute, and my baby wants more. Okay, so inverted. Right, again, I don't need your admissions letter. Now, when this came out inverted, when these are inverted, it just means they're this way, and I can't see the little image on them. But it came out like this in another reading of this set, so there's similar undertones there, but it doesn't always mean exactly the same thing. Alright, so I have the Page of Pentacles. So what did I have? I had the Page of Cups, and now I have the Page of Pentacles. Teach your children. Right? This child is set to sort of teach itself. They're not going to take on the knowledge that you're just handing down from the establishment. They're into the history. Now it said the picture here is from an album or the Deja Vu single. Crosby, Stills, Nash, and Sometimes Young. Teach your children well. I think it's something like their father's help will slowly go by. I don't actually know the lyrics to this song, even though I've heard it like 100 times. But the idea is teach your children well, which doesn't necessarily mean sending them to the established thing, right? I mean, filling out 100 little circles isn't necessarily going to teach them well. You know, passing enough tests to get a degree doesn't always necessarily mean that you're being taught well. It just means that you're being standardized to some degree. And I'm not shitting on education and accreditation and all that. I'm just voicing valid grievances with it, in my opinion. So I have the Nine of Earth here. It came out inverted. This inverted is like a Nine of Wands. Right, it's like we've been waiting a really long time for this bureaucratic societal paradigm to end. This says, enjoying life's little luxuries, spending quiet time alone, successful self-employment. She looks like somebody, but I can't quite place it. What does this mean inverted? I'm seeing the 9 inverted, and I'm seeing the Page of Pentacles inverted. And it's making me think, again, of like 911. There's an emergency here. But I have 9 inverted, and I have a 7 of swords inverted. And that's giving me an inverted tower, right? There's an internal restructure. But the way that it's coming in with a Pentacles card and the Swords card is like, it's something that's happening out in the real world that's been an issue with communication. And again, a manifestation of practical learning, practical applied information that means something, that you can do something with, like with your hands, that you can, results that you can see, basically. So December, this reading is really long, Jesus Christ, okay. Fog Hat, Slow Ride, the Knight of Pentacles. So we went from the page to the Knight. Look at this, we're coming out of the mountain. Full steam ahead. Take it easy. Look at the moon over here, though. Crescent moon energy. Now, what's interesting is that in this reading, the waning moon shows up as the High Priestess. And the High Priestess is traditionally ruled by the moon. And in the aspect that she's of crone energy, when the moon is waning, is how she's related to the moon. And I see this here as the High Priestess energy. Overlooking the Knight of Pentacles. Like she's the one that sent him on his journey, or the Knight of Pentacles is, it looks like he's going slow because he had to do a side quest to go get some critical information from the crone up on the hill. So this is the book, 10 of Pentacles, and it's coming in inverted. And it has a lock on it as well. Look at all this knowledge stacked up behind here. All right, this is where the Empress has been. But we have 26, and it's coming in inverted. So I see 22, the High Priestess number, 6, the Gemini Lover's number, and then I have 10 of Pentacles inverted, which means it's like a 10 of Wands. 10 of Wands is like, it's too burdensome, but 10 of Pentacles is Mercury in Virgo. And it's like, I was talking about Virgo inverted as being like maturing. I'm going slow because it's really hard to learn all this shit at once. But the High Priestess is going to give you the key. You just have to open up your perception a little bit. What's this other card here? The Queen of Water. The Queen of Cups. Tender-hearted, empathetic, patient, and loving. Relationships develop to a new level. Trust your intuition. Care for yourself and others. Right? Your intuition, that's that High Priestess energy. The Queen of Cups. Now what's interesting is that the Queen of Swords is a lower vibration of the High Priestess, but the Queen of Cups is a lower vibration of the Empress. And that way the Queen of Wands is also a low vibration of the High Priestess. And then the Queen of Pentacles, which I thought I saw, but maybe I didn't. The Queen of Pentacles is also a low vibration of the Empress. I thought I saw her page. I have to check this now because I thought I saw her. It's not on that card. 6 of Earth. King of Air. Maybe I didn't see her. Okay, well, anyway. The Queen of Cups. A lower vibration of the Empress. Oh, okay, what's her energy? Jesus Christ. Tangent here. Gemini and Cancer. All right, so Gemini and that moon energy. But here, the moon is starting to swell. She has the number 1 or the number 13. Right, so we go from 12 to 13. Now, what's interesting is that on a card that you would think would be moving towards a full moon, right? Just had the full moon in Gemini. And I want to check what the full moon's going to be in December of 2021. Hold on. Nope. No sound. Okay. 1 second. Come on, hurry up. Almost there, I'm looking it up. Okay, so I just Googled when the full moon's going to be in December of 2021. And it's not in Gemini. It's on December 19th, but on December 18th, the moon is in Gemini. And it's the day before the full moon, waxing gibbous moon, right before the Empress gives birth. Right? When she gives birth, she's like turbo pregnant the full moon. And even though the 13 is a death number, there's a correlation between the word womb and the word tomb. Death and rebirth. So what's happening is that this 13 is a signal of the approaching rebirth of deep information. Right? We see it coming out of the mountain, the information, the pyramid, the repository, the old rubbly temple, whatever, the library. And this is like, hold on to your butts, the library is about to open. Reading is fundamental. Right? So we see here the library's closed. But it's like I'm working my way up to it, and now we have a grand opening. The grand reopening of the information. That's pretty good. I like that. All right. I can't believe that I pinpointed that to expect that to be in Gemini. Now, what's interesting is that the full moon in December of 2020, it's also in Cancer the day after that same phase in Gemini, except that the full moon is on the 30th, and then next year it's going to be on the 19th. Interesting. I feel smart now makes me feel really smart that I got that all by my little self. You know, because psychic. I mean, I'm going to be 38 this month, so I guess I'm starting to hit that crone phase. Alright, so if you want to get a personal reading, you can hit me up. The complete list of readings I have and how much they cost is in the description box of my infomercial video. It's going to be linked below here. And you can also email me, thecatcamebackatcamp@gmail.com, for that list or any questions or whatever. Everything here is going to be in my link tree. That's linktr.ee/cattheminion. So social media, PayPal, Venmo, Cash App, Cafe Press, DeviantArt, Etsy, coloring books and poetry book on Amazon. So if you go to my Etsy and you use the coupon code 3star17, you'll get 17% off your order of 3 or more items. And I haven't pimped my chapbook packs in a while. They're like synchronicity stimulus packets. It's basically like me pulling up 3 cards at once here. It's like a little oracle reading, like a little mystery writing and information. And the little chapbook packs in those packets, I mean the little chapbooks themselves that are in the packets, have excerpts from my poetry over here. That's on Amazon. So that's on Etsy. In my prints on DeviantArt and in my products that I have on Etsy, there's certain items, basically like celebrities and book characters. I have them set up to pledge 10% of profits to certain charities that are listed under the items. And I'm only doing 10% of those certain things right now because I am really broke. And as I am able to afford more, then I probably give percentages of charity from all of my stuff and greater amounts. I'm just trying to get my foot in the door on that, doing what I can. I'm laying out the intention so that the universe can help it snowball and pay it forward in that way. But I also need to make sure that I take care of myself. And then I have all my stuff on Cafe Press. Now, it is it's December now, and I can't guarantee things will arrive before Christmas if you're into the celebration of said ancient holiday. But I have, in my Cafe Press, I have my Sleipnir design. That's Odin's horse. Santa's reindeer are based on him. And then I have Peppermint Swirl, which is a fashion design. So I have the 8-legged spider horse, and then I have the Peppermint Swirl design. Those are on Cafe Press in merch. But they're also on DeviantArt as prints. And then I have my 2 Sleipnir plushies that I already made are on Etsy. So you could get a shirt, you could get a mug, you could get a stuffed animal, and they'd all be matchy-matchy. One of the Sleipnir plushies is cream and the other one is brown, and then the drawing is sort of creamy colored with white legs. So that's all available, and if you have any questions, email me. And again, just everything one-stop shopping, hit up that link tree. If you go through the link tree to Etsy, it'll put that coupon code information up at the top of the screen. All right. So that's all she-hoid for Gemini for now. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, check out my playlists tab, my discussion tab, and stay groovy. I will see you later. Bye.